Welcome back to the UTL Podcast number 5. I'm Robin.
Lex, and we've been away for a month and a half.
It's been a while.
It's been a while.
It's been a while.
We finally got together to go ahead and record this following episode, and we'll be actually talking about exactly what we've been going through for the past month, which is tour life.
Tour life. Okay.
So Robin just came back from a tour with Don Omar in Mexico.
Mexico.
And that's the reason as to why we haven't really been able to film an episode. I've also been working and traveling as well. But now that he's back, now that I'm back, we've been able to meet up and go ahead and now record this next episode. This episode is about touring and tour life. It's been something we've both been doing for many years. And there's been a lot of questions that people have asked throughout the years about what's touring life like. What is it like traveling all over the world, getting paid for it, traveling with a big international artist? And these are questions we've always listened to, but we've never really acknowledged or actually even answered. We've never really set ourselves on a platform to do so, but we do have it now. And we'll be addressing many of those questions that people have asked. To begin with, how was your tour down in Mexico?
Interesting.
Yeah,
it was fun. It was stressful. It was more fun and more stressful. And yeah.
Any memorable moments that were good?
Lots of memorable moments. A lot of stressful moments. But it was good overall. We had a great 14 shows. The public in Mexico was the crowd was one of the best ones that I've been had the privilege to perform in front of.
Yeah, I saw many video clips and they were very welcoming.
Yeah, they were amazing from the first show to the 14th show, and they were, as you know, not every crowd interacts throughout the whole show. It's just sometimes through songs.
Yeah,
and it was throughout the whole show.
Yeah.
All the 14 shows in all the 14 cities, everybody was
nothing but love.
nothing but love.
No, I feel that. It's been a while since I toured, but I do remember that Mexico was one of those places that people really showed their love for Don.
And it's funny because you wouldn't really think that Mexico would be a place that would know so much about reggaeton.
Mm-hmm.
And I was really surprised how much about reggaeton they actually knew.
Yeah.
And that made it even more fun because you can go and do different songs that you might not be able to do in other countries.
Yeah, for sure.
That made it even more interesting and pleasant.
Well, we're gonna go ahead and start with some questions that people have asked us throughout time. What is touring life like in regards to traveling, the food, transportation, and sleeping? Because a lot of people think that it's outside of the box. It looks like it's fun. Like, oh, we're going to this new city, new country we've never been to, and we're gonna go have fun. We're gonna go try this. But in actuality, is it really like that? What do you think?
I mean, it is fun.
Mm-hmm.
The only difference is that you have to look at when you go to, like, if you have a normal 9 to 5, you go in at 9, you go home to your house at 5.
Mm-hmm.
If you're gonna do a show, you're basically working throughout the whole day.
Yeah.
If it's a travel day, you gotta take your flight. You get your flight. You get your luggage. You go to the hotel, do the check. You check in. You go straight to sound check.
Yeah.
You could be in sound check for maybe from anywhere from 4 hours. You could be up to 10 hours in sound check.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
The whole day, and even sometimes until the show.
Depending if you go of the day of the show.
The day of the show, which
which
usually
most
the
of the
cheapest
time.
option.
Yeah. Well, if you're doing multiple tours, like you back to back to back, there will be a time where you have to go right, like you land and you go straight to the hotel or straight even to the venue, and you change it to everything in the venue. So it is fun, but you're working throughout the whole day.
Yeah.
It's not like you get to leave after. No, you like it's not like what most people think it is.
Hmm. No, yeah, I do remember that touring is that you get to the place, you check in. If you're lucky, you're spending that night there, and the venue and the show is the following day. A lot of times it was that same day that you arrived, and you go straight to the venue to go ahead and do sound check. Um, it's kind of the same thing as you because you're the DJ. I was a musician, so we would have to set up sound with the entire band, inner ears, make sure everything's on point, and you do a rundown, you do a practice run, the sound check, and then you just go back to the hotel to change if you have that time, and then go straight back to the venue to do the show. And sometimes right after the show, you got to go catch a flight.
And sometimes you don't even have the time to go to the hotel. Like you take the luggage with you and you go
Yeah.
straight from the show. Because one big thing that people don't understand is that if you're doing a big concert, right? And let's say there's 40,000 people, the show gets done. We have to wait till those 40,000 people leave. And that's not done in 10, 20 minutes.
Mm-mm. No.
Sometimes we're lucky enough where we get the police escort and we leave just right away and we can beat the traffic. But if you don't beat the traffic, you're gonna be there for 2 hours. So sometimes it's just better to wait there or just go straight to the airport.
I remember just getting off on stage, getting into a vehicle, and we would just run away. We would just escape.
But let me ask you, when you went to, how many people was in the crew?
How many people were in the crew?
Yeah.
It was a lot. And the reason why it was a lot is because it was probably the same amount of crew members that you have now, just adding the entire band. Because the dancers were there, the same amount of dancers, everyone that has to do with the pyro, the video, the audio. Then you got the band members. Um, so it was either the same or maybe a little bit more, just because you have those extra band members involved. And we had a big band because we had percussion, we had drummer, we had pianist, I was a violin drummer, bass, guitar. Sometimes we even had Danny Fornati
On the keyboard.
yeah,
On the
on
keyboard.
the keyboard himself, which he was like another artist all in himself. But yeah, it was a big crew. But we would really try to just get out of there as soon as possible because yes, then you have all this mass of people trying to leave at the same time.
So when I first started, there was like 34 of us.
Hmm.
But now we're up in the hundreds, 107 people.
Dang,
Yeah, so it's a lot.
that's a
So
lot.
so and we also have to also take in consideration that we also have the people in front house
Hmm.
that we gotta wait for them get their monting, come to the front. It's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah.
So those are the things that sometimes people don't get to see when you're on tour. It's not just like that 1 hour, 2 hours you see us on stage. Like we're prepping the whole day.
Yeah, the first ones to leave definitely are the ones on stage. The artist, the band. Um, I would expect you to be one of the first ones to leave.
Well, I can't because, for example, so let's say the show just finished right now,
Hmm.
and don't leaves. I have to wait to see if he wants to do another encore. So I need to make sure that he's out before I could even.
Yeah, but what I mean is, once you see him get off stage and you know he's done, you get off. It's not
Yeah,
the
yeah.
ones that
It'll take
the
like two
ones that
minutes.
stay the ones that stay behind are the video and the audio people
Yeah,
because they got to dismantle all their equipment. They got to pack it up into all those huge cases, and while they're doing that, everyone else is gone.
yeah.
So yeah, touring is fun. It is. It is. We're very blessed that we were able to experience that. That I was at least able to experience that. He's still experiencing it. We're very fortunate that we were able to do that. It is fun, but it does get tiring. So I do understand when artists say I'm tired of touring or I'm tired of traveling so much. I get it. I'm a flight attendant myself, and yes, I go to amazing destinations, but it's like that. You work a 12-hour flight, you land in your destination, and yes, you may have a night, 24 hours there, or maybe 48 hours, but the first 24 hours you're there, you're just dead asleep. You're just tired. And then you're just going to go back on another airplane, work another 10-hour flight to get to your other destination. and it's fun to some degree, but it is very tiring. So it's the same thing as touring because it is a job. You're not really there for pleasure, and when you're there, you are representing a brand. You're representing that artist. Anything you do
Reflects the
reflects on that
artist.
artist, which there's an interesting story time I'll talk about later. But everything you do reflects upon the artist. It's no longer, oh, one of the crew members did this. No, it's just the artist did this, and they will always pin it against the artist. So that's one of the questions people have always asked us throughout the time. Now, another question they've asked us is, this is the number one questions people really ask us, and not just us, any artist or any person that goes on tour. Are there groupies while on tour?
Do you want to go first or you want me to go first?
I'm gonna let you go first.
Okay. So there is. There's a lot actually. But I will also say that also depends. Well, to answer the question, yes, there are groupies. Now, is it like how everybody thinks it is? It's not.
It's not.
And I will say this, it's like how people think it is with smaller tier artists that's never done anything. So like if you're like a main star, seeing groupies is not, it is nothing, it's something you see daily. It's like
Mhm.
you going to working at Disney and seeing Mickey Mouse walk by. You see Mickey Mouse every day walking by. Now, if you live in somewhere else and you see Mickey Mouse, it's not impact you. So it's not. Yeah.
Okay, so like the way I've experienced it, there's groupies. There will always be groupies. But it's not like the way people think of groupies as if you were a rock band in the 80s. It's not like you're the rock star and all the groupies want you, because in reality these groupies want the artist. They are also, you do, if you're trying to get a girl interested in you from those groupies, you have the upper hand from a normal dude because you work in the music industry, or because you're the violinist, or because you're the DJ, and you have an upper hand in, speaking to them because you've already caught their attention. That's the way I've always seen it. But so many times I saw the band members really trying to spit that card like, oh yeah, I'm the musician, this and that. And a lot of times it didn't work for them
No, but I
because the
do
girls wanted really the
the
artist.
artist. But I do think that there's a lot of women that do want a band member. Doesn't necessarily have to be the artist. It could be a dancer. It could be how I seen women with the least important person in the
Yeah, no, of
so
course. But the ones that drool, the ones that are just like
I don't know.
the stereotypical groupie, I would consider is really after the main artist.
Yeah,
The ones that line up at the hotel and have part of the crew like select and stuff like that, when it comes to those type of groupies, those are really looking for the artist when that ends up happening. But I did see a lot of groupies. But yeah, there was girls that were interested in the band members more specifically because they were intrigued that they were musicians. But it's not an automatic golden ticket. It's not.
Oh, no, 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 no.
And a lot of people think, and they're not in the industry or have never toured, they really think that just because you work here and you're a musician or you're one of the dancers or you're the DJ, that you have a golden ticket and you can pick and choose out of the crowd any girl you want. And it's not like that at all.
But I will say this though, that if you get in it when you're young, and like I said, you work with a lesser tier artist, and you go, for example, to go to these certain clubs, it can be like that for you. When people, so let's say when Twitter first started, and we were able to start tweeting, we're gonna be here, we're gonna be here, we're gonna be here. You were able to develop also like your own little small little fan base that was
Hmm.
able to go and see you where you were gonna be at. So people had the option to follow this person, this person, this
Oh
person,
yeah,
this
yeah, yeah.
person. So in theory, if a person wanted to go see you for who you were, lo podían hacer también igual.
Mm-hmm.
And to go as far as back as the groupies like the 80s, I don't think nothing's gonna go back to what it was to the 80s. But I've seen some wild shit.
Yeah, I'm sure you have seen some wild shit. I'm sure you have. Um, especially when you're is the DJ and you travel more closely to the artist than I did as a band member because I traveled more closely with him more locally when we were up in New Jersey and New York. But on tour, um, not as much. Not as much as the way that you probably traveled with him. So the closer you are to the artist, the more crazy shit you'll see. Not because it's the artist's fault. It's just because he's the artist and crazy shit is gonna always follow him. Um, so that's one of the main questions that people have always asked. I think in any person that's involved in the music industry, something that I always thought about myself before I even got into the music is like, damn, is it really like that in the movies that girls left and right, they just, you know,
That happens on occasions. But let me ask you, what was your craziest if you had a crazy groupie story?
a crazy groupie story. Dang.
That you could share.
The only thing I could think of, so being honest, I toured with him since from 2006 to 2013. And from that time frame, I only like messed with two girls in all those years. Two girls on tour. That was it. And I think one time early on, like I was playing violin on stage, and then I felt something like I was playing the violin. I felt some weight fall into my bow and pull down my bow while I was playing. I noticed it was a freaking thong that someone had thrown a thong, and I just flung it back into the crowd. But I don't think there was anything crazy that I personally saw in regards to groupies. I know, that band members were always thirsty. Yeah, I will not name names,
Yeah.
but they were thirsty and they were just trying nonstop with any girl that was around and I actually got to save one girl's life. Not that I saved her life, is like I saved her from the pack of piranhas. And her and I are still pretty cool friends today.
That's funny.
But yeah, but I didn't see anything crazy. I know that the band members were really, really, really trying. There's a cool, there's a story time later.
Few.
Yeah. But how about yourself? Any groupie stories?
I had one crazy one that I can remember. We got done doing a show in Colombia, and I remember that I had a roommate because in the beginning, in the beginning,
Oh, that sucked.
when you have to share rooms, when you're not like when you don't have obviously you don't get your when seniority. So once you're a senior, you get your own room, right? At this time, I had to share my room, and I remember we got done doing the show, so we got to the hotel at 2, and lobby call was at 5 in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember we came in, there's security, and when I wake up, there was a girl sitting down on the bed.
Sitting down on your bed.
Yeah.
Okay.
The crazy thing is, I have no memory of how she got there. I thought maybe the guy who was sharing the room had brought her in, but he was already at the airport. So he got done with the show and he went straight from the show to the
Oh, so she was
airport.
there because you.
No, 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 no. She actually went to the lobby, said that got the key. She got a master key to all the rooms that the artists were in. And she just, I mean, when I woke up, I just happened to see her in my room, but she had gone to multiple persons' room in the group,
And they gave her a master key.
and they gave her like she had. I'm just using the term master key para que entiendan, but she was able to have access to multiple rooms. And yeah, she
And
was.
she was just sitting on your bed. So then what happened? We
No,
got
she
to hear the
wasn't. No,
story.
no, she wasn't. She was sitting in la cama de muchacho al lado, but it was right next to mine. So she wasn't sleeping on my bed. She was just sitting down. And when I woke up, she was just looking at me, which is super weird.
And then what
Oh,
happened?
we got down and left. But I was really surprised on.
Did you ask her like, who the hell are you?
Well,
Did you find out who this person
yeah,
was?
I found out who she. I found out who
Okay.
she was. She was one of the fan club of the artist.
Oh, okay.
So they actually went.
So she was part of the group in a
part of the fan group,
okay.
and they had a whole bunch of gifts to give to the artist.
Okay.
But they didn't know how, and the time it was, everybody was sleeping because we had we got the back late, and so there was nobody in the lobby. So I don't know how she got the key. She was went room by room. And when I woke up, she was there. She went back down with her other crew members, the fan club.
Okay.
And yeah, but that was crazy because we have. So if you, I don't know if you remember when you were on tour, we have security. Like for you to come up,
Yeah, there was always security.
and not only that, like the hotels that we stay good hotels. So like you need for every floor you go into, you gotta have a key for that same floor.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're in the 7th floor, I'm in the 5th floor, I can't go to your floor. So the fact that she had that key to be able to go to all the rooms and have the room numbers was impressive. That she was able to do that.
Yeah, that's crazy.
You see what I'm saying? And sometimes,
I wouldn't freak
what
out.
made it really weird, what made it worse is that there was a lot of money in the room because the person that was in the room was doing would do the meet and greets. So that could have been like, let's say I wasn't there,
Mm-hmm.
and let's say that money would have been missing. It was my room and so's room.
Yeah, no, I get it.
You see what I mean? So it's
Mm-hmm.
like
The craziest thing. Well, yeah, I guess when it kind of that goes to one of the questions in regards to I'll leave that for the following question. What I was about to say. Another question that people have asked us is, what's the most embarrassing thing that's happened on tour?
okay, you could take that because I'm gonna have to think.
Most embarrassing thing that happened to me on tour. I don't know if it's really embarrassing, but it felt awkward as hell. So we had a show in Bolivia. The moment we landed in Bolivia, something was going on with we all got like held hostage. FBI, open up! By the government for like a week because some legal thing with Dawn, I think it was some contractor. I don't know. But we were not able to perform or leave the country until that was resolved. So I think that's when something he had to go to court. I don't know, something like that. But we were stuck in Bolivia. And when we were there at the hotel, the resort, one day in the middle of the day, it was like noon or whatever, I just took a nap. And then I wake up to like someone jumping on my bed. And I open up my eyes, bro. And I was young. I was younger, but I wasn't that young. I was 21. So I open up my eyes and I'm innocent as hell. I open up my eyes and then this girl in lingerie, gorgeous as hell, just jumping up and down my bed. And I'm like, what the hell? Like, bro, like, is this a dream or what? And she's just jumping up and down and she looks at me and she starts smiling. And then, bro, I was like, well, hi.
Well, hi.
Like, hi, who are you? Like, where are you from? Like, why are you here? And she starts speaking to me in Spanish, and I didn't know what the heck to say. And then all the band members jumped out of the closet laughing. And they're like, oh, yo, but you gonna mess around with her or not? Like,
They were watching.
They were watching. They were waiting for me to, and they're like, oh, well, if you're not gonna do anything, well, I'm gonna take her. And one grabbed her by the arm and took her, and they did their thing with her, whatever. But I was like, damn, like what the hell's going on? To me, you know, I don't know if that's considered embarrassing. I didn't know what the hell to do in
She
that
became
situation.
part of the band.
Yeah, making the band.
They made it a band.
But yes, that did happen to me. Other embarrassing. There's a story time story. I'll leave that for last. But I think one other thing that was nobody knew this. But have you ever had to go to the bathroom really bad on stage?
I haven't had that.
Oh man, I had a show in Mexico and I decided to eat something I never tried before. And bro, when we went on stage that night, it was in the middle of the show. And then the worst thing is when you get scared because there's new pyro explosions that you were not accounting for. Yeah, it's like that wasn't in the rundown, that explosion.
And that happens a lot too. But go ahead.
Yeah. And oh my Lord, that was the worst. And then the moment that we ended the show, I was like, guys, we got to get the hell out of here because I got to go to the restroom.
Like, no.
Yeah, it was bad. And I just ran to the hotel and yeah. And the last and most embarrassing thing was it wasn't on tour. I was in the middle of the tour, but it wasn't with Dawn. It was with Hakimi Kenway in Premio Lo Nuestro. That I got fried on stage. I got burned. And that's recorded on YouTube. I'm performing with him on a platform that spins around. And for when we did the rehearsal, like this is the X you're gonna stand on, Lex. You're gonna be playing the violin right here next to Ken Y while he's playing the piano. And this thing is gonna rotate. And you're gonna stay on that X and never leave that X. I'm like, okay, fine. So when it's on live TV and now it's time to perform, I go to the X. But there's this fog effect. They put fog on the floor.
Dry ice.
The dry ice.
Dry ice.
So you don't see anything, but I know the X is there because I see the X and I'm standing there. But then they spin me around and I'm playing the violin. And where it stops is right next to a flamethrower.
Ooh.
But I don't see the box of flames because the fog. So I'm playing. And then the moment, because that wasn't a rehearsal, none of those pyrotechnics or anything. When I'm playing and that thing explodes, that flame. So I'm standing here and the flame is right here. And that thing is powerful, bro.
Oh, yeah.
I really thought when it burned so much and it hurt so much. And then I started walking away. And I was expecting the people from the crowd, the audience, to be pointing and say, look, the guy playing the violin's on fire.
He's getting cooked.
He's on fire. And every time it kept going up, it was just burning. And then so I started pulling away. So if you look at the YouTube video, you see me, then you see flames. And then when the flames are gone, I'm not there anymore. You just see me like behind the piano and I just disappear backstage. You can still hear the violin. And the only reason I kept playing, I was like, because Jennifer Lopez and Mark Anthony are right there looking at me because they're right in the front row. I was like, I'm gonna keep playing. And I played at the end of the performance. I told the guys, I'm like, guys, I got burned. The fire burned me. They're like, no, you look fine. Until we got into the green room and the lights were on. They're like, damn, yeah. And I took off the shades because I had shades. I had all the imprint. Like, I look like Two-Face. No. Cooked. But I think that was pretty much it. Now, what would you consider your most embarrassing moment?
I can't think of like embarrassing moments per se. guess my embarrassing moments would be like mistakes that have been on stage. That's what I can
Yeah,
recall. Because I can't think of like something that happened to me like that was embarrassing.
yeah.
But
Because anything that happens on stage is gonna be your fault,
correct. So
whether it's not your fault.
like
It's
things there's
audio
been,
is.
like there's things that happens as like that we could talk about later on,
Mhm.
but that'll happen that yeah. It's embarrassing, but realmente it's not like an embarrassing thing. It's just
Yeah.
something that
Okay, so not many embarrassing moments have happened.
no.
Um,
To us at least, because to other people they have embarrassing moments every day. But
I think most embarrassing things might happen to dancers.
actually, I think the most embarrassing things happen to the actual artist. They
Yeah,
run the because they
all
run the
eyes are
risk.
on them.
Yeah, and they run the risk of like falling and doing more things. At least I'm standing doing my thing. You're standing playing the violin. Like we're stationary.
Yeah,
They
artists
walk, and again, imagine you walking vital. That happened going from side to side, like you forgot the cue, and then doing. There's a lot of things like so.
getting blown away.
I
Yeah.
don't think we get a lot of embarrassing moments per se.
Hmm.
There can be, but definitely that goes to the artist for me for one. They run the most risk.
Okay, now the best pranks on tour. Okay, I'll let you take lead on this one because I know you probably got plenty.
Okay, so there's one band member who's petrified. I mean, petrified of toilet paper.
Yeah,
So this band,
like horrible.
like
Like
he
he's
can't he can't see it. It's so bad that he can't. That when he goes into the hotel room, he requests for them to remove toilet paper. They have to come in and remove it because he can't even grab it. So one of the his roommate when they played a prank on him was his roommate got toilet paper and put it all over his things on the TV, on the remote control, on the phone, on the faucet, on the door. So once he was able to open the door and come into his room, he couldn't do shit. There was nothing that he could do but scream and hope that the person next to him was someone from this team because he couldn't do nothing. And all he would do was just scream, scream, scream. That
d-
wasn't so bad, but what they did to him on a plane. So the same individual who's petrified of the toilet paper, they gave him and his Coca-Cola like laxative.
1/2 teaspoon for fast, effective relief.
And we had a flight from New York, I think it was New York to Italy. And I remember we left like at 10. Usually when you go to travel at nighttime, you go to Europe, is you always almost always a night flight, right? And they pranked him with that. And all I can remember was like at 3:15. Ay Dios mío. Ay Dios mío. Ay Dios mío. And once we heard that ay Dios mío, we automatically knew what it was. And the funny thing is that the people were positioned themselves like they got their seats so that they could block off the toilet. So he was in the middle of the plane.
mhm.
But there's usually when you're in a big plane, you go to Europe, you go to Europe, you have the front, the middle, and the back. There's six total bathrooms, three
Yeah,
on each side of the plane. This particular plane only had two. So he was in the middle of the plane, but he had to walk either forward or go
to the back.
backwards.
Yeah,
And the people would purposely go to the bathroom and make him wait outside. So at 3:15 in the morning, as he was in agony because he had to go to the bathroom, he wasn't able to go to the bathroom. And the reason why they were there is because they were putting toilet paper all over the toilet. So he would have to ask for assistance from the flight attendant to remove the toilet paper so that he could. That's one of the pranks that to me was funny. At least.
I can't recall any pranks. I personally can't recall any pranks that happened. And watch me, like, after this episode, I'll probably remember like 3 or 4. But off the top of my head, I don't recall any pranks that happened to me or to anyone.
Oh, I got now that I think about it, I got pranked a few times. You know the.
Oh, I did get pranked.
So go ahead. And now,
It was in the first tour that I did with Dawn, which was King of Kings Live. That's when I first started performing with him. And the guy in charge with the lights, there was a position where I was supposed to go. And he's like, the spotlight's going to be there. And he's like, you're always going to stand in the spotlight. So then I go to the spotlight and I'm doing my solo. And this is the solo that happens when Dawn is changing his outfit for the next song. So I'm playing my solo, and then the spotlight just moves this way, away from me, and I'm just in pitch darkness. So then I start walking down slowly to the spotlight.
So you're taking everybody's spot.
No, it's just me on stage by myself. And then so he goes ahead, and then he moves the spotlight this way. So then I'm like, this asshole, bro. So I'm playing the violin and then walking sideways to the spotlight. And then when I get bro, it's like a cartoon. Then he moves it like this. And then I'm trying to follow it. Then it goes like this. And then he did this. The spotlight around the whole freaking concert hall, the whole arena. And I'm just left in the dark. And then he brings it back. Yeah, he was playing with me in that show. He didn't do it again, but yeah. That I do. But I don't think I remember another one. What was your prank?
So the Alexi, you know Alexi?
Yeah, that's the one with doing the spotlight.
Okay, so Alexi is
he's always pranking.
The number one prankster in the tour. So I have this thing where I cannot stand, you know, the squeaky toys like for dogs.
Yeah.
I can't hear that. So we're in Australia and we're sightseeing. Right next to the Opera House, there's this store that, you know, they sell boomerangs and all that, you know, Australian, you know, whatever things for tourism. And I go in and I keep hearing this squeaky toy. And I'm like, so I thought it was a kid, you know, you just like little kangaroo toys. So I'm like, okay, playing with it. It's annoying, but I move it over here. I hear it again. And it's like, damn. So I keep hearing it again. So I keep moving. And then I go over here, and now I hear it here, and I just keep hearing multiple. I'm like, coño, ¿qué es esto? We leave the store. We go to the next store, and I just keep hearing the squeaky. And I'm asking, is anybody hearing this? Because I just keep hearing the squeaky toy. And it's not just one. Now I'm hearing like 4. So I'm like, there's something definitely going on. And I'm looking, and nobody has nothing in their hands. Because I would immediately thought Alexi's doing something just to piss me off. So we keep going, and I kid you not, we've gone to like 5 stores, and all I keep hearing is his squeaky fucking toy. When I go into the store, I ask him, "Do you guys sell squeaky things?" And that's the first thing I ask him because I'm already annoyed. Like, "Do you guys sell like squeaky things here?" Like, no. As soon as I ask for the squeaky thing, there's like 6 squeaky noise. So I'm already getting pissed off, and I'm already getting like, I'm not even being nice anymore. And at that time, they used to record everything because they were gonna do something for MTV, whatever. And then I started seeing that they're laughing, and they each had in their back pocket, they had each purchase a squeaky thing, like a squeaky toy. And for like 45 minutes throughout the whole Sydney, they were just doing that because they knew it was gonna get a reaction. It was just a matter of time. And yeah, that's one of the small.
Was it a speaker? Or was it actually a squeaky toy?
It was an actual squeaky toy, but the thing is that it was Cuajo Miguel
Everyone had one.
Everyone had one, so they were all doing it at like
Different times.
Different times. But when I would get, so for example, if I would get away from Alexi,
Mhm.
I will get next to, for example, Abraham. Abraham will be doing the same squeaky toy, which will maybe go back to Alexi. Alexi will do the squeaky toy, then I will go to Miguel. Miguel will have a squeaky toy.
Okay.
No matter where I went, squeaky toy.
Does the squeaky toy around. Yeah. That would have made me mad too.
Mad as. But yeah.
All right, so let's go with another question that people have asked. Best experience on tour?
I honestly, the best experience on tour is just when you really have a really good show. I guess that's like the best experience you can get because you're going there for that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you have a day off and you have a good, whatever, then that's totally different. But the best experience you can get on tour is having a badass show. That is the ultimate experience you can get out of a tour. Is that?
Yeah, I mean, for me, best experiences were early on when someone recognized me, who I was as a violinist. That was shocking to me because I'm like, yo, I'm nobody. But yeah, I play the violin with this guy. But for them to say, oh my God, you're Lex, you're the reggaeton violinist or anything like that, that was a really cool experience. Also, another cool experience is at the last show of King of Kings in Puerto Rico that my mom was able to be present and she got to see me perform live. That was a really nice experience. And,
Okay.
And then I think another one that I would consider a great experience, which was pretty much every show, is the feeling and the rush of adrenaline that you get getting on stage. Because I was only nervous for the first 2 or 3 shows that I did with Dawn in 2006. After that, and after the King of Kings tour, when we started doing the world tour, it was just an adrenaline rush. Like I was anxious to get on stage. Like I was pumped up, hyped, because the moment you got on stage and people saw you and saw the band, people would just go crazy. And it was a crazy adrenaline rush. Like you felt unstoppable. You really did.
Interesting. So now that you mentioned that, yeah, I guess my good experience was to have my parents see what I actually do for a living. Because sometimes you tell people what you do, but they really don't have any idea what you do.
It's not the same seeing
and the
it
magnitude
in person. Yeah.
So it was really cool to see them, like after all the years that I put in practicing what I did, to be able to see me at that. That's cool. Camille, my daughter, got to see me perform. That's amazing. Having the people that I look up to, come up to me.
Yeah, of course.
And that's an awesome feeling as well. But what you said for me is the opposite. The 10 minutes before, like the hour before getting on stage, is the worst for me. My anxiety is to the roof, and I want to get on stage, and I'm extremely nervous. And to this day, I've been touring with Dong since 2010, so that's 15 years, and I get nervous every show. There's not one show that I'm not nervous. Every show is if it was my first show. To the point, in fact, that when we do the show, I can never see the full capacity of how many people are there. I'm only focusing on him and the 2 people there, and I try to think it's a sound check. So by like the second to last song is when I start looking at the masses of the crowd. But if not, I can't do it because my nerves get the best of me.
I think it's also because you have so much responsibility. As a musician, your own responsibility is not to mess up, but if you mess up, you have a band there also that is continuing playing. You're not going to mess up the show for messing up. You mess up the whole show.
True.
If your system goes out, it's your fault. You mess up the whole show. If your track starts skipping or you mess up and put the wrong song, you messed up the show because you're a solo act pretty much. So as a musician, you can mess up, but there's also other band members that keep the rhythm going. That there's a difference between the violinist and the drummer.
The drummer's consistent.
The drummer has to be consistent because he's keeping the rhythm and the beat and the tempo. And same with a pianist. Pianist is a big part, but it's not as big as the one keeping the rhythm going.
Yeah, the worst thing that I guess the pianist could do is hit the wrong note,
go the wrong note, and just keep going,
and then fix it again the next.
But it's not going to stop the artist.
Yeah.
The music stops. The artist has no choice but to stop, and that's where you have more responsibility.
Well, it's mostly the nervousness comes from the things that can happen during the show. He may want to skip a song from a rundown, and how am I going to communicate that?
Yeah, you have
so you have to. That's another thing that people don't realize: the communication between the artist and his band members or his DJ, like that. You have to be able to pick up like small little details or no signs. Like for example, if he was to do this, don salió el sol. You have to be able to pick uno.
That's the thing we didn't have to worry about as a band.
I have to worry
when the band was there. It was a rundown for the whole time, and it was the same thing. He couldn't change it because it was already recorded with the metronome and the tempo. And when he was performing with the band, he had to do that rundown and not change it. After the band part was over, and it was just Eliel doing the part as a DJ, then he can do whatever he wanted with Eliel, and the band members could join in or whatever. But when it was just strictly band, there was a specific rundown because it was already pre-recorded. What I mean pre-recorded is there's a
sync.
There's a tempo going in our inner ears, keeping the beat, so we know when to come in and when not to. So that never changed. With just a DJ, he can feel like not singing one specific song and singing a completely other song, and that wasn't part of the original rundown, and you have to be attentive to that.
So that's why when I do the show, I need to have 4 turntables just to be prepared. So like I have it 4, 1, 2, 3. Obviously 1 is where I scratch, 2 is where I have the show. The third turntable has playing the same thing as the show, but on a low volume in case this turntable gets messed up, the CD skips, whatever. I just raise it and I just lost maybe 1 or 2 seconds. The fourth turntable is if he wants to play a song that's not on the rundown, I can search it without messing up what's going on.
Yeah.
So I feel like I have more control of the show like that, and I'm more prepared for anything that may come across. Because things do happen.
Yeah, things do happen.
Yeah.
Anytime something is live,
it's
something's gonna mess up.
Something's gonna happen. Just a matter of
time. Another question. We don't have to go into specifics, but does it pay well? I would consider yes, it does pay well because you're being paid to be away from home. You're being paid to get away from a 9-to-5 job, and you're being paid for your talent. Apart from your normal fee that you're being paid for, you are also being paid per diem, which is a daily amount of money given to you for personal expenses like food. But sometimes it really exceeds the necessary amount of what you're really going to be spending on food. So you just keep that money, and it just adds up to the total amount of money that you made while away from home. So I would say yes, it does pay well, even as entry level. I was entry level pretty much because I was a musician. As a DJ gets paid more because, of course, there's more responsibility going behind that. But as a musician, it did pay well, and especially when you were on tour, you were doing 3 or 4 shows a week. I was making a lot of money, and I blew that money away.
You stupid.
No, not.
You stupid.
As a 21, 22-year-old, it was the first time I made like real money like that. And
I remember you going to Lids every Thursday, spending like $150 on hats. Ridiculous. You had I remember that. All the hats, all the colors to combine for the show. But I get it. better.
Yeah, you just go to a store and you buy everything that you like. You don't look at the prices. You like it,
Se
you go
fue.
and buy it. And when it came to sneakers and shoes, I would buy double pairs. So if I liked a pair of sneakers, I would buy it 2 times. One to wear and one to have just in case these got messed up or whatever. And I don't know where any of that stuff is. Even the watches and jewelry that I bought, I don't know what happened with all that stuff. But yeah, it does pay well. And when you're young, you're dumb and you spend the money on crap.
Yeah. Also, I mean, you mentioned with the per diem. A lot of times you get per diem, and like in my last few tours, they actually have catering,
So yeah, you don't really need to
so you
spend your
don't
money.
even need to spend the money because you get breakfast, lunch,
Hmm.
dinner. However, I am really picky. Whoever knows me knows I'm an extremely picky eater, so I don't eat a lot of things. So, for example, you have mentioned that when you're on stage, you had to go to the bathroom. A
Hmm.
lot of the times when I do like this tour, we were gone almost a month. I can honestly tell you that I ate 7 times because I fasted most of the time.
Okay.
Because I don't like to eat the day of the show. So if we have 3 days that we go without doing shows, there's 3 days I go without eating. But going to the money and all that, yeah, it's really good money. But I also think like they're paying you for all this everything that comes with the tour.
Yeah.
It's not just you doing it,
Hmm.
because sometimes just doing the show is the fun part. It's all the other stuff that
Yeah.
the hours of rehearsing. All yeah, I mean, even though you get paid to rehearse as well, just
Yeah. It's not just
it's not just
it's
doing.
just not the hour or hour and a half that you're on stage. It's everything that goes into before the hour and hour and a half on stage. All the traveling and all the
Preparation.
preparation and practicing and rehearsing and sound check. That takes a lot of time. But yes, to answer that question, it does pay well. Um, what was another question? Worst experience on tour, or maybe most stressful experience on tour?
Okay, so going to what you said, when you guys had a band, you guys would have everything synced, right?
Yeah.
So he couldn't go up. So we did a show, and we had it organized by segments.
Hmm.
So we had four 15-minute segments, and this was a humongous show that we needed to do. It was Viña del Mar, which is one of the I think is the biggest event that you can do and the biggest pressure that you can do live.
It's yeah in South America. Yeah,
Yeah, that's
Latin. Yeah.
humongous,
Hmm.
humongous pressure. So I remember that we had everything lined up. Everybody, the choreo, the backup singers knew what they had to do. The dancers knew. Everybody knew. And I remember 8 minutes into it, he does this to me, which is a universal sound. Stop.
Hmm.
I stop it, and we improvise the show.
Okay.
But it was one of the best shows I have been a part of. Even though it was chaotic, it was not chaotic. It was the shows are not chaotic. They're stressful because you have seconds in between to figure out what you're gonna do. I have to look for the song. There's a lot of things. That show that was organized to be certain way shut down, and immediately we had to go in freestyle mode. And every song is
I guess he read the crowd.
so there we go. So sometimes you also need to be able to do things on the fly.
He read the room. He
He
read the
read the
crowd
room and
and
he's like,
saw
we
like this
can't,
is
we
not gonna
can't,
work.
this is not gonna work. We're gonna, or yeah, or maybe this song can't be for that long. It has to be cut short.
Hmm.
Even though it makes my job a lot harder, it's for the
It's what
better
the people
being.
want.
It's what the people want.
Hmm.
But that's why you gotta be on point and be able to read all these little signs and everything. Because if you don't,
Yeah, that makes sense.
but it's stressful.
Yeah, of
So those
course.
are those are those are moments that if you're for example, if you see me, I can't hide when I'm stressed out because you see me looking at him, trying to read if he's giving his information to anybody else. You got to pick up on all that. and you gotta gather as much information you can so you can figure out, or sometimes you have to guess or what the next song could be, or sometimes I would even have to. On the Pioneers, I was able to sample 3 songs, so I would guess what 3 songs he was gonna sing, and if I was right, I already knew which one it was. So I'll just play the button real quick and go ahead and go.
Yeah.
But it's really I'm guessing a lot of times.
Okay. Stressful for me. The only 2 times was stressful was the first show I did with Don. The first one. It was like I think October 14th of 2006. And it was because I had just gotten recruited to be his violinist. That was before he had a band, so I was the only musician. And it was for the King of Kings album show. The first show he did was in Connecticut. And the whole time I'm thinking that I'm gonna play Reportensen with the violin and Angelito Vuela, and that's it. But then the moment I get there, the night that I get there, they're like, "Oh, you're gonna be playing the King of Kings intro, the prelude, which is being played by the original violinist is Mary Ben Ari, and that's a complicated ass piece, and I didn't know that. So I was already nervous because I'm like, damn, I have to go back to the hotel now, learn this, because tomorrow's the concert. So I went to the hotel and I did nothing but hear that over and over and over and try to take out the notes and try to learn the notes and this and that. And I finally got to do it. It was not the best, but with every show that passed, I was better at it. I cleaned it up, yeah. And that was nerve-wracking and very stressful. And the other one was when I missed a flight to Colombia. I was flying from Orlando to Colombia, and Colombia was going to perform that same night. And I missed the flight to get there in the morning. So they booked me on the following flight, but I was going to get there like at the time that we were needing to go on stage. So I get to Colombia and I don't know where to go. I don't have a transportation because the transportation was there for me hours in the morning ago. And I don't have a cell phone that works, no service. And I was asking, like, is there public telephone anywhere? And nobody wanted to help. And on tour, I've always hated to pull out I'm Don Omar's violinist. Yeah, I'm this guy's
name dropping.
Yeah, I've never done that, and I've always hated that to say anything. But I had no choice. I had to tell people from the airport, like, look, I'm here for this concert. I'm his violinist, and I need to get there. Oh my God. Okay, yeah, let me help you. Let me say, and they found me phones. They found me this. I was able to, I think it was Abraham at the time, contact Abraham. And then he found me the transportation. And so I got in a taxi in the middle of the night with no AC, windows down, going down a dirt road with dirt going into my face and everything. I got to the venue sweaty, all dirty, got on stage and performed. That was stressful as hell. That's, I think, the only time that was stressful because I felt like it was my fault. I missed the flight.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, that's my job on the line right now. If I don't get to make it,
you're fired. Get out of here.
But luckily I was able to make it. How about yourself?
Another stressful moment. I remember my first show was in Colombia as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I messed up on the 4th song. So if I'm not mistaken, Dale Don Dale Ronca Repórtense, Dile Cuéntale. So in Dile Cuéntale, I don't know if you remember, Y se menea, it was double time, and the dancers would dance, and then William would dance. So on the actual song that I got from the what Eliel played, it went from Se Menea, the double time, into reggaeton. So when I play it, it goes into reggaeton instead of having the kick doing
the fast beats.
The fast beats. Mm-hmm. And I remember Nan was looking at me, trying to tell me to doing the sign for el doble tiempo. And I'm like, I'm not picking it up because I'm playing exactly what was given to me.
Mm-hmm.
And as I'm seeing what's going on, I'm like, wow, I can't fix it right on the fly. But after like 30 seconds of them doing the same thing, and when it was looping, when it would loop itself back to the double time, I started seeing that the dance was going on in sync with that. So I realized that I messed that part up, and then
Okay.
but I didn't know because no one really didn't tell me. So obviously for the next show, I had to figure out that I just have to re-loop it and keep looping that for 8 bars, and then that. But that was really stressful because they wanted to explain something that I didn't know what they were explaining to it, what they were trying to explain to me. But yeah, that was one of them. Other one is when I get told when I'm on stage that there's different acts coming.
Different acts, other artists that are coming.
Yeah, to me that's stressful because now I need to know like what songs are they gonna perform. Do I have the instrumental for those?
Yeah.
How many songs are they doing? Is he gonna try to improvise something in our show?
And then you gotta.
And then now what that does is now am I gonna have to take music out of the show that's already there to DJ for them? Like that to me is stressful. That's when it gets,
because now you got more responsibilities than you had on top, and it's on the fly.
And there's been times where I've done the most 6 artists in one night with someone.
So speaking about you messing up, so there's a clip going all over the social media of a recent show in Mexico. Where the clip shows that Don's performing, and then something seems to be happening in the crowd, and then he turns around and looks towards you, and he's telling you to turn off the music, to shut the music, to stop the show. And he keeps making hand signals, going like this, which is his universal stop. And he starts pointing at you, this and that. And you don't stop the music. After like 10 seconds or so, you went ahead and stopped the music. Apparently it was because there was someone that fainted in the crowd, and he was trying to bring attention to that, to acknowledge it, and to stop the show, for someone to help that person out.
Nina tuvo problemas durante el concierto y el DJ no le detenía la canción.
Seguridad, hay una niña ahí que está teniendo problemas. Gracias. Gracias.
But the way the video is showing is that he's really upset with you, that you were not listening to him, you're not paying attention to him or the show, and that you seem to not have cared of what was going on. That's what people are portraying that video to.
Okay.
And so my question, I already know, because we've talked about this, about what happened that day. But explaining your words, what is it that the people are actually seeing, what actually happened, and what is your point of view? Because it's one thing of seeing the point of view of the artist and the point of view of the spectator, which is the person out in the crowd watching the show, but nobody gets to see the point of view of the person on stage up there.
Okay, so I couldn't really hear what was going on I learned about the girl fainting afterwards. But what happened? So he had given me I saw the video, so therefore I couldn't tell you what happened in real time. But when I saw the video, he did put the sign of stop, which immediately I should have stopped the song. Everything should have stopped. He was upset, which I don't blame him for him being upset. But the truth of the matter was, when I'm on stage, there's lights, and there's lights sometimes pointed where I can't see the artist. All I see is a reflection.
Yeah, you're a deer in the headlights.
Yeah, I can't see what's going on. So if literally at that precise moment there's a light positioned in a certain way, I can't see nothing. And also that was one thing that was happening that particular night was I wasn't hearing Don through my speakers. So I guess what he was well, while he was trying to tell me to stop, and I wasn't able to see him, I also wasn't able to hear him. So the only way that I was able to hear it to stop is when I was told in my in-ears to stop the music. So that's actually, what happened. But what I will say is I'm kind of not, I don't say that I'm glad it turned out like that, but I would have rather that happened than me stop the song thinking they was trying to tell me something. So he could have been right now singing the song and everybody could have been hyped and me reading the wrong signal and hitting stop and then just stopping the party. That clearly was a mistake that I did. But me not hearing him and not being able to see him, I really can't consider that as a mistake. It was just something that happened on stage. And they relayed the message to me. He understood, and again, he had every right to be mad because usually we are on.
Yeah, I can understand why he's upset because his point of view is like, yo, you're not looking at me, you're not paying attention to me, you're not hearing me out. I'm telling you to stop.
Well, actually, I don't even think he was upset at that. I think he was more upset that the music he couldn't call for help. So I don't even think. Yeah,
but the look he gave you afterwards was that bombastic side eye that looked like he's upset with you. And I understand because his point of view, he's thinking that you can hear him because that's you're supposed to be able to hear him. You're supposed to be able to see him. And if he's talking to you and you're not hearing him and he's telling you and you're not looking at him, of course he's gonna upset. But just to make things clear is, yes, I've been on stage. I know what it is like because you do have all these lights shining in your face. So imagine you're on the road and you have these headlights. You don't see anything but those headlights. So when you see him walking around, you just see a shadow behind all these lights. You can't see much. And that night you couldn't even hear him properly, which is why you were trying to get the attention from the audio engineers to bring up his volume, which is why most people might have seen you not paying attention to him and paying attention to the engineers off to the side trying to get the audio. And you stopped when you heard the audio people tell you through their microphones, hey, stop the music. But
because again, I'm looking because again, I could tell you, I could literally be looking at the artist and say, listen, I can't hear William. So I don't have to be looking at them to give him a command. But it's just can I see what I'm just seeing.
You're seeing a black shadow.
That's it.
And you can't hear the artist.
But I can hear them talking.
You can hear them talking
to me. So that's where that.
So that's really what happened.
Things like that happen, and things like that happen all the time because it's happened to him. He's told me before that he has a hard time seeing me when he looks at me because I have it, light.
You have lights behind you.
So these are things that go on. And for another thing that I'm never mentioned, a lot of times when you do shows with massive people, there is a bounce that you get.
Yeah.
And that's horrific. If you ever dealt with that, con el rebote, I don't know how to even. It's like a delay. It's like
there's a huge delay because when audio comes out of speakers, it goes all the way to the end of the arena. It bounces back from the walls of the arena and it goes back to you. So when you're hearing that music in your ears, you're hearing that music by 2 seconds off or a second off because it went all the way to the end of the arena and it traveled right back to your ears. And that's when you're hearing it. That's why you always see artists, you always see the singer and anyone on stage with those little pieces in their ears, not to look cool, is because they're being able to hear the music at the moment that it's coming out of the speakers, not waiting for that sound to hit the end of the arena and back to them so they can hear it. And in this case scenario, there's been times where those inner ears go out
all the time.
And it's the worst thing for an artist because then the artist can't even hear themselves and they sound out of tune because they're singing and they can't hear their own voice and they're singing horrendously without them knowing, or they're singing off beat. And when you can't hear the artist and you're the musician, or you can't hear the music, you're screwed.
And I've had situations where I've been performing with him and there's that delay where my monitors do no good for me to have. I've actually had Cuajo go to the side of the stage and he's doing this to me. So
You're keeping the tempo, yeah.
I'm DJing now by his tempo, and I'm not even now. I can't even look at William. Now I have to look at Cuajo, and I have to look at at the exact BPM that he's giving me, and I have to mix it. These are the things that people don't. This is when I say this is when it gets stressful, because now you're trying to do a show, a really good show, but there's just things that happen. We're not gonna stop a show because there's a feedback.
Mm-hmm.
You just gotta adapt to it. But that's a pain in the ass right there.
Yeah. So yeah, just to acknowledge that video is not because you didn't care. It's just
it's just things that happen.
You didn't see it and you didn't hear it.
But I really do think, like, honestly, that it was just, he was upset, but I do think it was because he couldn't.
He didn't know you can't hear him. He didn't know you
Claro,
couldn't see him.
but just I do think it had to do with called help sooner.
Mm-hmm. All right, so now we've acknowledged that little situation. Now I guess interesting stories that have happened on tour. I have a really interesting story, but I don't know if you have an interesting story that you'd like to share.
Go ahead. I think I know where this is going, and this is a lovely.
So I'm gonna try to keep this one simple. This happened in Argentina, and we had a performance in Argentina, and I was at the hotel, and two of the guys from the hotel from the crew, they were the ones in charge of the pyrotechnics, which are the explosions, the special effects with fire and smoke and all that good stuff. And they're like, "Hey, Lex, let's go out. Let's go walk around and grab a beer or something." I saw this local spot down the street. I'm like, "Okay, let's go." So we went. We started walking down the street, and we saw this little place. It's like you go down into like this basement. It's a bar, but it's like you got to go down steps down into a basement. So we went down there, and it was like a lounge. Had kind of like this ambience with like lights like this. And we sat down, and then they went ahead and they were gonna order a beer, but they're like, "Oh, damn, bro, I forgot we have to be there at the venue early so we can start setting up all the stuff." And they're like, "Well, if you want, Lex, just stay here, grab your beer, drink it, and then just go back." So I'm like, "Okay, fine." So they left. So they left me there by myself. So then I'm there, and then this girl comes and she sits down next to me. She starts speaking to me in Spanish. She's like, "Where you're from?" And I'm like, "Oh no, I'm from the United States. I just came just to, to travel." I never ever mentioned, and that's something I never ever did, was mention the reason as to why I was in a country. That was in a concert. I was going to perform with this artist. I was a musician. I never mentioned any of that stuff ever when I was on tour. But I'm like, "No, I'm just here traveling, just enjoying the time." She's like, "Oh, would you like a beer?" I'm like, "Yeah, I came actually to order a beer." She's like, "Okay." So she goes like this. She claps. And then so a waiter comes or something and says, "Yes, how can I help you?" And she's like, "Oh, he would like a beer." So they go ahead and they bring me a beer. So I start drinking it. And then she asks me, "Is it okay if I drink a beer along with you?" I'm like, "Yeah, you can drink whatever you want. I don't care."
She's setting you up.
Yeah, so she goes. And then the guy comes again and she's like, "Oh, can you bring me a beer?" So then she goes and brings her a beer. And then so while I'm just talking to her, I don't even remember what the conversation was about, just random stuff. And then another girl comes and sits now to my right. And then they're both talking to me now. And then she says, "Oh, can I also drink with you guys?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I don't care." Me in my head, I'm like, "Yo, you grown adult. You can do whatever you want. You don't have to ask for permission." She said, "Okay." And then she goes, and then the waiter comes back again. She's like, "I would like a beer." And then so he goes ahead and brings her a beer. And so now we're all drinking beers. And I'm done with my beer. I'm like, "Hey, ladies, I have to go. I'm going to go back to my hotel because I'm getting tired." She's like, "Oh, you're leaving so soon?" I'm like, "Yeah, I got to go." And the reason I had to go is because I got to go meet up with these people because eventually we have to go to sound check and stuff like that. And then she's like, "Oh, okay, well, let me go ahead and have them bring the bill then for you." I'm like, "Yeah, that's fine." So then the waiter comes back and brings the bill. So the bill is in the Argentinian currency. I don't know what the currency was, but it looked like a lot of money. But I'm like, "Okay, what does this, what is this equal out to US dollars?" And then the guy says, "Oh, it's like $180." And I'm like, whoa, $180 for my beer? And he's like, "Well, yeah, it's your beer, but it's also her beer and her beer." And I'm like, no, I just wanted my beer. I never invited them. They asked if they could drink. They can drink whatever they want. And then he's like, yes, but that's also including the services. And I'm like, what services are you talking about? Like, I was just here just to drink a beer.
It's one of those establishments.
Yeah, it's one of those establishments, but I didn't know. And then he's like, oh, the services. And then he points to the back of the room and there's like a little curtain and there's a bedroom.
Like a brothel.
Yeah. And then I fell into realization where the hell I was. I was in a
setup.
Yeah, I was in a
brothel,
a hoe house. And then I was like, no, I don't want any services. I just want to pay for my beer. And they're like, yeah, I'm sorry, but you have to pay for it. So then they call over the bouncers, and the bouncers come and they're like, oh, you have to pay us now. So I open up my wallet. I hid my cards. I open up my wallet and I'm like, look, I only have $80 cash. They're like, oh, well, and then the owner came out, which was a lady, it was a woman. She comes out and she's like, yeah, you need to pay the other $100. And then she's like, I'm going to have one of these gentlemen escort you to the hotel so you can go ahead and get the other $800. And I'm like, okay, then. So as I'm walking with the security guy, the bouncer, I'm thinking like, who the hell am I going to ask for $100 now and borrow $100? Because I don't have $100 with me right now. And the guy's talking to me. He's like, yeah, I know it's your first time. He's like, you know what? Don't worry about the $100. You didn't get no services. You just drank your beer, stuff like that. Just don't worry about the $80. We're going to keep the $80. Don't worry about the other 100. Just go back to the hotel. I'm like, okay, fine. Thank you. So I go to the hotel, and in the lobby is the band members. And I go to the band members like, guys, yo, can you imagine what just happened to me? I just went to this place, and instead of me sticking it to a prostitute, she stuck it at me, bro. They took $80 off of me, and they were laughing. They're like, damn, bro, you paid for this and didn't do anything. I'm like, nah, I wasn't gonna do nothing. I didn't want to do nothing. I just wanted a beer. And then someone overheard the conversation, and it was one of the guys in charge of the group and the tour. The higher up, one of the higher up guys. I will not say any names. But he's like, what, Lex? What they do to you? I'm like, yeah, this and that. And I'm laughing because I thought it was funny as hell. And he's like, no, we're going to go back there now and we're going to get your money. And I'm like, no, man, it's okay. He's like, no. They're not going to do that to you, Lex. They're not going to do that to one of us, to one of group members of Don Omar. No. We're going to go back. So we go back, and I'm the whole time, I was like, I felt like one of those kids when your mom says, no, we're going to stick up to that bully right now. You're coming.
That forceful
one. Yeah, and you're like, damn, and no, mom, I don't want to do this. But we went. And then he asked for the owner, and the owner came out. And he's like, oh, this gentleman did not want to do this. You got to give him back the money. She's like, no, I'm not going to give him back the money. And he's like, we're going to call the cops then. And she's like, you can call the cops all you want, and they're going to make him pay the money because I said no for that extra $100. But this is legal here. I don't know where you're from. And the cops are going to side with me, not with you. And then he says, oh, but you can't do that. He's one of the musicians for Don Omar. We're here for touring with Don and tonight's show. I don't know if it was that night or the following night. He's here for tomorrow night's show, and we're Don Omar's group, and you can't do that to him. And she's like, I don't care who he works for or if it's the president. He owes me $100, and I'm letting that go. So I'm like, yo, bro, forget it. Let's just go back. So we went back to the hotel. So then he ends up telling Don the story up in Don's room, and Don calls me up to his room. And I'm like, man, I'm going to get in trouble.
Watch this. What's up? You're fired. I want you to...
This is bad. So I go up to Don's room in the hotel room, and he's making fun of me. He's laughing his ass off about the story. He's like, Lex, you're so dumb, this and that. And I'm like, yeah, man, I don't go out. That's why I don't go out, because I don't know anything. So yeah, he was having fun with the story. So like 2 or 3 weeks later, where I get a phone call from another higher up, I think it was Abraham. And Abraham tells me, he's like, man, Lex, yeah, that little situation in Argentina, Don's not really happy about it because it's escalated. It's escalated, and they're blaming it on him. And he's he's engaged now. He's gonna get married, and that looks really bad. And I didn't know what he was talking about. Like, I knew what had happened, but I didn't know what had happened afterwards. And apparently, these two ladies went onto, I don't know if it was Univision or what, and did an interview saying that they had slept with Don Omar, that they gave him services, and that he never paid them.
No hubo problema con el tema del dinero, por eso es que yo no me preocupé, porque sabía que él tenía un recital esa noche. O sea, di por sentado que me iban a volver a llamar, porque fueron 3 días a pleno gozo. Entonces dije, bueno, cuando me llaman esta tarde para realizar el servicio de la noche, cobro lo de ayer y punto. O sea, no se me cruzó a mí, por eso te estoy diciendo, por la mente que él fuese esta clase de persona. Todo esto es profesional. Yo te doy placer, te doy mi cuerpo, te hago lo que vos me pidas, mi vida. Lo que quieras, mi sol. Él lo tuvo. Que me pague nada más. Si él me niega haberme conocido, yo te voy a demostrar que conmigo estuvo. Y varias veces. Si él quiere, guerra la va a tener. Porque él a mí no me conoce. Te puedo llegar a mostrar el preservativo que lo tengo en el freezer con el cual tuvimos la última relación. Él, como hombre, es una máquina sexual. O sea, no, en ese sentido, o sea, yo soy una profesional y no mezclo, trabajo con placer. Pero realmente este hombre me hizo sentir placer. Yo te digo la verdad, ni lo conocía a él hasta que tuvimos nuestro primer encuentro. Me vengo a enterar recién ahora, después de todo este conflicto que tuvimos, que era una persona famosa, o sea, que qué reto puedo sacar si ni lo conocía. O sea, yo podría llegar a un arreglo con él, pero evidentemente él no quiere un arreglo. Él me da lo que es mío porque él ya tuvo de mi parte lo que yo ofrezco. Tuvimos un cambio de fluidos, y ahora no te acordás del cambio de fluidos.
Yeah, that's rough.
And that they even had proof that they had a used condom of his with his DNA, and that they could prove that it's his.
Jesus.
And that came back. And then on the next show that we had, not the Argentina one, like the following show, like probably a month later, that we're gonna go on stage. Before we got on stage, he had a briefing with all of us, all the group members in the band, about what happened, and that he was upset about it, and that he said, anyone after this show, if I find anyone leaving the hotel, if I find anyone hanging out, this and that, you're gone.
You're fired. Get out of here.
We are a professional team. We're a group, and we're here for a job, and you're representing me and this company. And if you do anything stupid, you're out. And then all the band members were upset with me. They're like, damn, Lex, it's all your fault. We can't go out and have fun. I'm like, yo, hold up, guys. You guys are married. You guys got wives and kids. I'm saving your ass right now. I'm the only single one here. So if anyone could do anything, it's me, because y'all are old people and y'all all held down with families. So y'all better chill. But those were not my intention, and it escalated this way. But yeah, I then tried to clear it up in Puerto Rico. And when I was doing like this small little like media tour in Puerto Rico, that it wasn't him, that it was me. And then some story spun it out saying, no, it wasn't Don. It was Don and his violinist. But
I remember that.
But yeah, Don never did anything. Don never knew about anything. It was me that fell into that situation. And because his name was brought up in the middle of the conversation, they used that against him. Yeah, they used that as a great story.
I remember, now that you're mentioning this, a story with you. So I remember, I don't know if you remember, you had a I don't want to use the word girlfriend, but a girl that you liked, that she was from Honduras, I think.
Oh, we're gonna go to that story.
We're gonna go straight to that
on this episode.
So check this out. So he had liked this girl from Honduras. This girl from Colombia liked him. So,
but I think that's it for today. Any of you have any other questions in regards to touring, go ahead and let us know. Well, guys, thank you for watching. We'll see you next time. Again, this is Lex.
Robin.
Have a great day, guys.
Adios.